Real Madrid are the ultimate giants when it comes to club football, isn't it? They have won the most UEFA Champions Leagues. They have also won plenty of La Liga titles. And now, just yesterday, they achieved more history. Real Madrid won the Club World Cup for the 5th time. And it was a classic match, and it saw them etch their name in the history books as one of the best teams in the world. Real Madrid have achieved plenty of records, but this record is something that not many teams or outlets focus upon. The Club World Cup is often not given its due because it can often mean that one club in a particular continent at that point in time, their skills can ensure that their football is at the peak of its power. Rather than, if you may say, if a club is not performing well in the Club World Cup, that gives an indication that perhaps the structure that is there in that particular country is probably underwhelming at this point in time. So, what is the situation that we have had with Real Madrid? Real Madrid entered the final of the Club World Cup and they defeated Al Hilal 5-3. And it was an absolute classic. Vinicius Jr., Karim Benzema and Federico Valverde. Valverde's brace ensured that they would end the match 5-3. And it was a record 5th Club World Cup for Real Madrid. It is truly a testament to the fact that when it comes to the bigger stages, be it the UEFA Champions League or the Club World Cup, it is Real Madrid that stand up every single time. Now, what is the elite list that Real Madrid are in now? It is 5-star Real Madrid indeed, because this was the 5th Club World Cup title, and if you look at it from 2014 onwards till now, they have achieved the ultimate glory every single time. 2014, 16, 17, 18, and now in this 2022-23 season, they have managed to do it. 15 World Cup titles from European clubs. That is the most important thing that's there. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Inter Milan and AC Milan. All of them have managed to win the Club World Cup from Europe. On the other side, if you look at it, if you look at CONMEBOL for instance, then Corinthians have been the one team that have managed to do well from Brazil. Apart from that, Brazil is the only team that has dominated the Club World Cup apart from Europe, because the Argentinians have not won any single Club World Cup competition. Now, what is the history of this Club World Cup? Because remember, you may have the Champions League in Europe, you may have the Copa Libertadores that's there in South America, you may have even if you look at World Cups, there is the World Cup, then there is the Euro, then there is also, if you look at it, the Copa America. What is this Club World Cup? It was initially first contested in 2000. And it was not held in between from 2001 to 2004 due to FIFA's marketing partner collapse, that was the ISL, the International Sports and Leisure. Now remember, the Club World Cup has had a very, very contentious history. And this history is pretty complicated. It involves a lot of politics. It involved a lot of negotiations to ensure that this particular competition would have some structure. Regularly, it has been held ever since 2005. Ever since the fiasco of 2001 and 2004, they have managed to hold the Club World Cup on a consistent basis, and Europe has dominated most of it. Now, at this point in time, the FIFA World Cup, Club World Cup actually coincided with the 2000 Intercontinental Cup. Prior to the Club World Cup, there was something called as the Intercontinental Cup, which involved the best teams from CONMEBOL, South America, and the best teams from Europe participating in it. Now, at that point in time, the Intercontinental Cup was played between winners of the UEFA Champions League and the Copa Libertadores. So, basically, the best of South America clashed with the best of Europe. There was no other zone involved in this. And that is why you kind of felt that this Club World Cup was a very, very restricted club. But now in the recent past, the Club World Cup has truly become global for one particular reason. Now, winners of the AFC, the Asian Federation, CAF, the African Federation, CONCACAF, North America, Champions Trophy, CONCACAF Champions Trophy, which is the North American Champions Trophy, US, Canada and the Caribbean islands, Copa Libertadores, all from South America. OFC, Oceania, and UEFA, Europe. They all play in that Club World Cup. It's a straight knockout tournament for 2 weeks, which has been held. But the host nation, supposing if there is any host nation who have not qualified in this, then they will have a playoff with Oceania and they can qualify. So the club that represents the host nation, suppose they are not there, they are given a chance to have a playoff with Oceania. If they beat Oceania, they will replace that team. So that is why Oceania unfortunately has got the double whammy when it comes to the World Cup and when it comes to the Club World Cup. Because Oceania, they have to play 5th place of South America if they want to get in to the World Cup. And that is a very, very tall task if you have to ask. Now, there is a lot of disputed history about the Club World Cup. Remember, originally the first attempt was made in 1909 to start something of the Club World Cup in football. Before that, there was an amateur World Cup that was held and was dominated by Scotland and England. Scotland in particular, their amateur football clubs dominated this very well. And that is why in 1909 and around that period, from the 1890s onwards, there was an attempt to make a Club World Cup. But the first major initiative, which was a precursor to the Intercontinental Cup, came in 1951. As I had mentioned, the Intercontinental Cup featured the winner of the Copa Libertadores and the UEFA Champions League winners. At that time, the best team from Europe and the best team from South America. Palmeiras actually beat Juventus at the Maracanã in front of 200,000 spectators. That was in 1951, but unfortunately there was a lot of political this thing. Who should we include? Who should we not include? In particular, the violence that Argentina's supporters used to bring in the 60s, that really soiled the attempts to make it a broader Club World Cup competition. Stanley Roos, who was the former president of FIFA, had proposed an expansion of the Intercontinental Cup. He met with very mixed success at that point in time, because even in the 50s, in order to counter the Intercontinental Cup, because it was proposed by Brazil, CONMEBOL, there was a separate thing in Europe called the Tournoi de France. Tournoi de Paris and later on the Intercontinental Cup. Tournoi de Paris was actually the best team of Europe clashes in Paris. So that was how this Club World Cup structure was going to be held. But because the Intercontinental Cup and later the Tournoi de Paris faced a lot of hostility from South America and Europe respectively, they then had to ensure that it would be a very restricted competition. Then after that, when the Intercontinental Cup was in danger of being dissolved, the Toyota Cup was formed, because Toyota decided to sponsor the event around the 80s. And then there was a British marketing firm called West Nally. They also came in and they ensured that the Club World Cup, or kind of the Intercontinental Cup, would stay afloat until the start of the 21st century. After that, now FIFA have stepped in and now there is a proper Club World Cup structure that has been going on for 18 years. So Real Madrid, a 5-time champion, truly remarkable, because they now have got 14 UEFA Champions League titles and now they have 5 Club World Cups. Bigger the tournament, bigger the dominance from Real Madrid. So thank you so much, folks, for the special video on the history and the format of the Club World Cup and about Real Madrid. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis. Tap that bell icon so you know when we go live. And don't forget, we are also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.